Hey guys, new name here. When people talk about playing RuneScape, they often recommend that you should make an Ironman account to avoid the microtransactions, especially when recommending the game to old school players. But for a lot of people, there's a lot you should know before you make an Ironman account. Since I have been playing on my Ironman, which you see here, since 2018, I wanted to impart some knowledge I wish I had at the start of my journey. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys to make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to let me know down below something you wish you knew. Let's share it with others and try and help each other out. The first thing I wanted to talk about is shopping. Now, shopping at various shops is one of the most important things that you can do as an Ironman. And the earlier you start to do it, the better off you will be. Now, you don't have to shop at every single one. There are three, however, that I would recommend focusing on in the early levels to avoid headaches down the line. The first shop, of course, if you played before, is Rune Shops. Since you can't use the Grand Exchange, this is going to be the best way to stockpile elemental runes early on. It's also great for getting other runes that you may need, especially for Viswax. Believe me, you don't want to be runecrafting your own fire or water runes in the middle of a bossing grind when you just want to get that drop. I will try to link a list of all the shops that I would recommend going to. But in the early levels, you should definitely focus on buying the elemental runes. But if you can, I'd highly recommend picking up mind and body runes as well. The second shop type that I think you should be going to is farming supply shops. This isn't just for making compost or super composts, but also for seeds and food and materials for your player-owned farms. Seeds are probably the most important to focus on in the early levels, just to help you get through farming, but there are a few other things I'd recommend doing. For example, raw meat and woad leaves are great things to stockpile for your player-owned farms, as they are used for food, and woad leaves can also be used in the beehives to blow past early levels in farming. For raw meat, the best place to get it is the shop in Uglog, unless you would rather kill cows near Beefy Bill. This does require a quest though. Whereas for woad leaves, you can buy them from Wissen the Farmer in Balador Park near the giant molehill for 25 GP each. The final shop I wanted to mention is fishing shops. These are great to gather feathers for fletching, as starting a pile early can really help save you hours down the line when you're looking for something to train. And with all that shopping, you will be wondering probably how to make some money, and personally, I think questing is the easiest way to do this. If you have watched my content before, you probably know that I'm not the biggest fan of questing. However, playing an Ironman was the main thing that really changed my mind on quests, although this was only slightly. Not only do you unlock so many important things from quests themselves, such as curses and ancient magics, but you also get great rewards at each quest point milestone. For example, you can unlock more slots for blocking and preferred Slayer tasks, which makes it easier to control your tasks and avoid ones you don't like. This is especially useful when hunting for your parts for your Slayer helm. Not to mention, every 25 quest points, you get some gold and a free fortunate component from the quest point store south of Varrock in the form of a reward dice. You can even get some hybrid armor that scales with your level and gives buffs when fighting quest bosses, which can be really helpful early on. Not only are the rewards great, but so is the XP. If you do the quests at the right time, often, though, I waited until I was too high of a level to finish the quests, and really those rewards felt minuscule for the level I was at, so I don't recommend being like me and putting off questing. I did realize years later that there is a list on the RuneScape wiki that shows you what order to do the quests to minimize the needed skilling. It tells you what order to do the quests and even when to stop to do some training. I'll try to make sure to link it down below. This list is great if you have no idea where to start on your Ironman journey, or are new to the game, as it takes you on some of the shorter quests first, allowing you to dip your toes in. However, if you don't want to do that, I do have some skills I recommend focusing on when you first make your account. If you are considering starting an Ironman as something to play on a second monitor, or just looking for skills to start with, there are a few that I want to recommend in this video for you to focus on in the start to make your grind a little bit easier down the line. If I were making an Ironman today, the first skill I would train is divination. This skill is by far one of the most important ones for Ironmen, as it is needed for so many things. Every gathering skill is made easier with porters, which will directly teleport items to your bank. Not to mention, you always get stuck trying to get more energy for invention. Whether you go bossing or stick to skilling, you just will always need it, so it's good to get out of the way to begin with. The next skill I would probably recommend training at first would be fishing, as you will always be needing more food. In the early levels, you can do Menaphos fishing, which is great as there is a deposit box right next to the spots, and the fish heal a decent amount, and you catch them fairly quickly. For the later levels, though, I would recommend doing swarm fishing in the deep sea fishing hub, as it lets you catch fish at higher levels than you actually can at your current level. The final skill I want to talk about is really training two skills at once, and that would be mining and smithing. They are great for getting gear for Slayer and bossing in the early levels, especially if you don't know where to get different gear in RuneScape. I say to train them together because it's easier to train both of them hand in hand so you can upgrade your pickaxe, because you don't have the Grand Exchange and can't always buy the best tier pickaxe at the stores, nor will they be the upgraded version. Not to mention, you will definitely want to stockpile rune bars for training summoning down the line. The last few things I wanted to mention are not enough to make their own category, so I figured I'd put them all together here. If you haven't played RuneScape in a while, there are tons of daily D&Ds, which is short for distractions and diversions. They are all useful for Ironman, but the two I recommend the most are Big Chompy Hunting and Gothixian Caches. They are sort of like mini-games that give great XP in Hunter and Divination respectively, and make it easier to skip some of those early levels to get more XP. Also on the topic of mini-games, I would highly recommend trying out Cabbage Face Punch Bonanza for the easy access to Slayer VIP tickets, which are great for helping you pick your own Slayer tasks, as well as checking out Stealing Creations to get your Fletcher and Artisans outfits to make skilling easier. Finally, I wanted to mention the importance of deciding when to alch versus hold on to your drops. In old school RuneScape, on an Ironman, you typically want to alch all of your drops, as there's not much else to do with them. However, this is not always the case on an RS3 Ironman. With Invention, it's actually sometimes a better idea to hold on to your drops to disassemble them for components, once you unlock Invention, even if you don't plan to unlock it for quite a while. Trust me, you don't want to spend all day running to every sword or range shop in the game once you've unlocked Invention. This also goes in hand with what you do with the ranged or melee gear you smith, craft, or fletch. Because again, you don't want to have to go back and make more. So try to find the perfect balance between not alking all of them and keeping some of them. Well, that's all I wanted to share for this video. So I hope you took something away from it if you are planning on making an Ironman, or enjoyed it if you aren't. Make sure to let me or others know down below anything I missed or anything else you want to share about your Ironman experience. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.